Hello there, everyone. TheAndrata here, and welcome back to episode 47 of our All the Mods 9 to the Rainy Sky Let's Play series, where today, we are working on quite a few tasks, actually. We get our Induction Matrix set up, we get HDPE and ethylene production going, and we get a solar neutron activator, so TheAndrata is efficient today. Let's get started. Welcome back, my friends, to another wonderful night here in the world of TheAndrata. Where today, we're going to be getting our induction matrix set up today, and getting that going, storing, tons of power and everything like that. We're also going to work on taking a nap because I do not want to deal with all of this rain. But we're going to be working on, hopefully maybe getting our HDPE set up so we can get that going, and that'll help clear out some of our to-do list that we got going on. So let's dive on in. In between episodes, I went ahead and made stuff that we needed. This is going to be for our HDPE ethylene production setup over here. But this stuff over here is what we're going to need for our induction matrix. And it should be fairly simple to set this up. Like, it really shouldn't be terribly too complicated overall for us to get this going. The only complicated part is getting the power from there to over here when the time comes. But we should be able to theoretically just hook a flux plug up to that and not have an issue with that at all. At least I hope so. Let's find out. So in order to make our induction matrix, we're going to need a few things. We're going to need induction casings. We're going to need some ports so we can have some input and output. And then we need our providers in cell. You do definitely need one of each of these. You can have more. And the more you have, the higher output rate. So if I had 2 induction providers, I'd be able to output at 100 million RF. And if I had 2 of these, I'd be holding 3.2 trillion FE or RF. But for our purposes right now, I think one of them is okay. And I'm just going to go ahead and actually honestly set this up right in the middle. But you're going to want to make a multi-block structure such that the inside is capable to hold your blocks. So we're going to go ahead and set up a multi-block like so, where we can have our matrix and our provider sit there. So we're going to have this be 4 high, which means I need a few more. Do I need to? No, because I'm going to have a input and an output. So we're going to have a induction port. We can go ahead and sit one there. We can sit one of these guys here. We can go ahead and put this there. And then on the inside, we need to take our provider and our induction cell and place these. So we can go ahead, our induction cell and our provider. Now, the design I have here does not allow for me to add anything else to this. I literally cannot expand this if I wanted to, but it's okay because if you break this and you rebuild it, you'll save your energy. The cells maintain the energy, so it's not that big of a deal. But there we go. We have a battery. Essentially, we have a big battery that is ready for us to store 1.6 trillion RF and can handle 52 million on its input and output. So we used our configurator, shift right click to change to output mode, and we have input mode over on this side. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to take one of our flux devices. Now we have 2 here. I also need to go ahead and make myself a flux. At this point, I might as well make a flux controller because then I don't need the player charger thing anymore from Power, even though it's not hurting us or anything. But we'll talk about that in a moment. But what we're going to want to do is we're going to need flux plugs. Make sure you read your tooltip and don't mix them up. Also, don't be like TheAndrata and accidentally make an extra 15 that you don't need and then burn through all your flux dust. So yeah, fun me. But read your tooltips because the tooltip is going to tell you exactly which one is which. So a flux plug is going to receive energy from blocks. So power is going to flow into the plug and then add it to your network. The flux points pulls from the adjacent block, removing energy. So these are what you want to put on your machines that need energy. These are what you put on your machines that generate energy. And so what we're going to do, because we're going to link this to our machines that receive energy, we're going to go ahead and put a point on one side of this because we're going to get power to flow from this flux point into our induction matrix. And we're going to come over here and we're going to set up a new network. So we're going to create new network. And I always generally call my initial network, this is my power network. This is my generator. And actually, usually I call it input, right? This is where power comes in to our network. I can set it to public if I ever do a world download. But we have our input network. I'm going to go ahead and select that, and you're going to notice that my flux point turned red, and it turned red here. My input network, I'm going to disable my limits. I don't want any limit onto this, so it can push as much power into this induction matrix as it absolutely can. From there, what I want to do is go ahead and pop over here, and I'm going to take my flux plug, which is going to receive energy, and we're going to pop that right on the end here of our energy cable. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to call this, we're actually going to name these. We're going to call this our induction matrix. So we know that that's where the induction matrix is at. And we're going to call this thermogens. And we're going to go ahead and put it on the input network. And as soon as I do that and we bypass the limit, you're going to notice that it is inputting at 2 million plus RF into this currently. So the power is coming out of these, and you can see they're draining. They are all draining. And the power is coming into here with no limit as fast as it absolutely possibly can, which is interesting that it's at almost 3 million, because my understanding is that these pipes can only handle, we're draining from our battery. We don't want that to happen. So let's just disconnect that. The problem that we have here is we kind of need to, we need to get this done quick. So let me stop talking and let me go ahead and set up our network going on here. Let's disconnect this for the time being so that this we don't drain our system. So we'll deal with that in a minute. But what we should see over here is that we have power. We currently have 1.44 billion RF. I think, yeah, I can just change it from RF and everything. Our input is 52, output's 52. We have one cell, one provider. Bada bing, bada boom, we're good. And you can see our UI for how much we can hold. I just don't want to disconnect this just yet, our ender cell, because we need to keep our base powered. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over here and we're going to set up another flux plug. This flux plug is going to be on our, what we call our output network. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new network. I generally color this one green, and we're going to call this output. And any power, anything that needs power is going to come off of this machine, or out of this plug, essentially. So this is the induction matrix out. And I'll go ahead and label this as induction matrix in. Okay, both of these limits are going to be bypassed, but nothing is currently being used on the induction matrix out network, so we're not going to have anything. But as soon as I hook it up over here, it will. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pop down here just so I can put this down below. We're going to make sure our ender cell is set to on the bottom. We want it to receive only. I don't want it to pull from this. It shouldn't, because we're going to be putting a flux point onto this. But just in case, we're going to allow it to pull only. We're going to go ahead. This is our ender cell, so we'll name this ender cell. And then we're going to put this on the output network. And we're going to see that it is currently draining 100,000 RF. And we can bypass the limit. Granted, we probably should be careful with this one. Maybe we'll just leave it at that default of 800,000. But you can see, I mean, our network is currently using, it's 100,000 RF plus whatever is being used from over here and everything. So we're using quite a lot of power. And if I were to go ahead and disconnect this from here, I think if I do this, I can set this to off. So now this is no longer hooked up to our ender cell. We can see that we are using, it flickers up to like 2, maybe 300. There is a network statistic. So, okay, so it looks like peak, we're pulling 189,000 tick, or 189,000 RF per tick is what is being used currently by everything in our system. That's a lot of power, my friends. We're using a lot of power throughout for this. But yeah, so we're generating 189, or we're utilizing 189 on average. Now you're going to notice our cell is draining because nothing is happening at the moment. I don't have any power going in. But now we can go ahead and hook our flux plug back up to this, and we will now be able to monitor how much power is coming in. We're going to bypass the limit. So we're currently inputting 2.8 million or 2.08 million RF, and we're utilizing 200,000. So we actually have a net gain on power, and we should see this number climbing. We'll be able to see that inside of here. We're going to see our input is 2.08, and our output, again, fluctuates between what machines are currently operating and everything. But we have a nice net gain in power overall, so we shouldn't have to worry about power bottleneck or anything anymore. I think this will help out, being that this can handle 50 million. any machines that we need to have a lot of power, be able to pull out, we can utilize flux points, like when we get the SPS casing and stuff like that, or the supercritical phase shifter. We're definitely going to want to use a flux point on that and not nitro point, or not nitro points, ender cells, just so that we can push more power into it, because we have excess power currently going on at the moment. We'll remember this, and I'm going to grab those points back, actually. Sure. Or my plugs, since I grabbed 29 of them by accident. So we have that going on. So that's great. And with this flux controller, I can go ahead and set this guy, and it doesn't even matter where he sits. He can, I mean, fine. He can chill over here because this is where we kind of have all our power going on. If I set this guy, it's our flux controller, and I set him on the output network, I can come over here and enable wireless charging, and it'll charge anything that's in my offhand, my main hand, my hotbar. Inventory is disabled, but all my armor and my curio slots, which, yes, our player transmitter currently does. And our player transmitter is able to do that at 2 million RF per tick. However, this can do it at infinite rate. So we can literally have max int power go in, and it just runs off of our battery over there. So I no longer need this. Everything's going to work off of this. The reason that I got the flux controller specifically, because if we look inside of any of these plugs, we're going to see that we can enable wireless charging from inside of these. Having the controller, though, allows you to have your power transfer cross-dimensionally. You need a controller for cross-dimensional flux networks. And if you want to know more about flux networks, I have a whole mod spotlight on this. It's not very long because it's not a very complicated mod, but it is an extremely powerful mod. So definitely something to check out. Now, this does have 2 billion RF inside of it. So I would love to see, can I get this power out of here? And then, like, if I throw this there, will you drain this power if I set the bottom to extract? No. Input is 819,000. So is that how much we're generating? So it looks like we're able to generate 819,000. Now that all of these are drained, we can actually see how much power we're generating. Okay. Yeah, this guy, I can't get the power out of this, it looks like. I'm sure I probably could. But it's really not that big of a concern. So I'll just go ahead and shove that into the system. And we're good. So we have a giant induction matrix, a big battery that can hold 1.2 trillion, and we're currently at 4 billion. So it's going to take forever for this to even fill up. And will we use 1.6 trillion? Probably not. So I think we're going to be okay. If we ever need more power gen, we can utilize other things to generate our power. But honestly, expanding this setup is fairly simple and cheap. With that being said, I'd like to now pivot into working on getting ourselves HDPE. And I got to find a spot that I would like to put this in. Our base is fine, but our base is kind of sort of cramped. Maybe over here next to our reactor, we'll come over on this area and work on getting our HDPE. So in order to get HDPE, we have to get substrate and we have to get ethylene. So we have to go through the whole gas burning generator setup essentially through mechanism in order to get ethylene produced. But we're just not going to burn that ethylene. We're going to use it to produce HDPE sheets and pellets, or pellets and then eventually sheets. So we kind of have to go through this whole process. So our first goal is to get ourselves substrate, because substrate is what we're going to convert over to our HDPE. And substrate is not terribly too difficult to make. Biofuel, substrate, water, hydrogen, both of which we have the ability to make fairly easily. And on top of that, that is going to produce us the ethylene that we are going to need. Now, for our HDPE, we need specifically, we are going to need liquid ethylene. So I do need to get a rotary condensator, so I can decondentrate our gas into liquid, or the other way around, whichever one that is. But we'll handle that in a moment. So what we need to do is go ahead and we're going to get a electrolytic separator, so that way we can get water and get oxygen and everything going. And we know we have quantum entangler porters. Now I do know that I have, I'm not forgetful. I know that I have oxygen and stuff over here, and I'm actually voiding the hydrogen that we could theoretically be using for this. But I need the oxygen as well, and I don't want to rob Peter to pay Paul here and take that oxygen from our process over here. But honestly, We're honestly not in need of it, are we? Maybe I don't need to set up an electrolytic separator. Maybe I could just literally utilize this that is producing it already. Because remember, this uses a lot of power when it needs to run. And let's see. Let's see how it works. Maybe we don't do an electrolytic separator. We kind of hold off on that. So if we're going to skip the electrolytic separator, then we just need to get a PRC with hydrogen and water set up. And we can go ahead and do that. So we're going to get this. We're going to grab a quantum entangloporter and a quantum entangloporter. Yeah, quantum entangloporter. And you know what? We need to get biofuel going first. So let's take care of the biofuel portion of things. So we're going to grab a crusher because in order to make the substrates, we need biofuel. So we'll get that first because it's easy. Crusher. Going to have a crusher. We're going to have a drawer. Simple drawer. Bam. We're going to have a drawer sit here. And that drawer is going to hold biofuel. The drawer is going to be fed by the crusher, outputting items to the right. Auto eject on, grab ourselves some ender gates. Power. Okay, so now we need to get our biofuel. Where are we going to get biofuel, TheAndrata? Moss. Moss is great. We get 5 for every moss block. I went ahead and set up last episode moss production. I just threw it in our black hole. So we currently have a lot of moss going on for us, which is great. I just need to get that moss put into our crusher. The easiest way is probably let's just utilize, man, do I want to use an exporter for this? Do I need to use a channel? Oops, wrong button. Or do I just want to have it go into a quantum entangloporter? Nah, it's fine. Let's go ahead and we'll just set up a channel going on here. Let's grab an exporter. We'll grab an acceleration set and export out of this. And yes, I know I'm wasting a channel, whatever. Honestly, not that big of a deal. Let's go grab, the problem is I can't scroll wheel my dank while I'm in here or while I'm flying. So I have to go find a smart cable that I can piggyback off of there. So we'll go ahead and hook this up. Bam. You're going to export moss blocks as much as you can into there. Okay, cool. You can go away. So now we should be getting moss blocks as long as I turn on the input from the back, and it's going to start crushing them. We're going to want speed upgrades. We're going to want energy upgrades. I don't think we need to go make this a factory though. Excuse me. I need to do, let's not fall down. Let's do this and this. Okay, cool. So that should be producing biofuel, which is coming over here into our drawer, and we can go ahead and lock the drawer so that we don't have to worry about it anymore. Okay, cool. Now we can go ahead and get our pressurized reaction chambers set up. So the PRC is going to sit here, and I lied. The PRC is going to actually go ahead and sit here because I want to make this slightly compact. We'll go ahead and put this over here and this over here. We're going to clear those out so that they have nothing configured currently. Clear, clear. We'll go ahead. We're going to grab a pusher upgrade for functional storage. We're going to go ahead and configure our PRC to be cleared, cleared, cleared. Items will allow to come in from the bottom, and then we will set our configuration. We'll come in here and we'll say push up, so it should push those into here. On the left-hand side, we'll come into here. We're going to say that is water, correct? We need water and we need hydrogen. So we'll say left side is going to be water, and you are going to output your fluid to the right and auto eject. And you will accept fluids from the left. So now we have water in here. And then on the back, we're going to have hydrogen. So we're going to have on the back side, we're going to have gases input. And then you will be, let me just double check. That's hydrogen. Yes. We'll find hydrogen set, and we will output gases to the back, auto output, and that should get us going with biofuel. Cool. Now I just need to give it power because it's going to run out, and that should be producing substrate for us and ethylene, both things that we are going to need. That takes care of substrate, biofuel, and moss blocks. And we're generating ethylene and substrate. Normally, we would just void out all the substrates, but yeah, we need them. So we'll do that. We need the ethylene to come out and we need the substrate. We're going to want upgrades. So let's go ahead and mechanism upgrade. And we'll grab a set of these. So that's speed and then energy, good, and produce those. So we're going to need to capture the ethylene and we need to capture the substrate. Now, these are going to have to go into specific places. So the ethylene needs to go into a rotary condensator. So the rotary condensator can go ahead and sit. Now that I built this up, I would love to just have the ethylene go straight into the rotary condensator, but I don't think that's going to be viable. So I'm just going to have to do this, and then we can have a pipe set to pull this. Bag mode, we'll grab a pressurized tube because this is currently a gas. We're going to go ahead and say, hey, buddy, your gas is ethylene output to the right, and then that'll put it into here, which will turn it into liquid ethylene for me automatically. Okay, I like that. Bam. So now you have power and all the speeds and energy. Be conservative. Okay, so we have liquid ethylene produced. Perfect. That's what we need. Now we do need to get the substrates out of here. The easiest way is probably just quantum entangleport those. So we'll go ahead and do this. Grab our configuration card, clear it. We'll go ahead and say this is substrate. And items will input from the bottom. And then you will output items to the top, auto eject. So now substrates are coming into here. Then we just need to take those substrates and put them into another PRC with ethylene and oxygen. So we can grab our PRC, place it down here. This is why I don't like mechanisms being pre-configured, because this automatically outputted and it could mess things up. I don't like that. And I generally will clear all these things out. I didn't think about it ahead of time. I don't want any of this stuff to do anything. Fluids, you're inputting from the left. No, see, you're not even inputting from the left. You are inputting from the gases from the top. I don't like things doing whatever the heck they want to do. I want them to do what I'm telling them to do. Okay, so we have liquid ethylene here, and it will now output automatically to the right, which is going to be a liquid because it is liquid ethylene. This guy is going to receive fluids from the left, and then items are clear and gases are clear. Okay, thank you. We're also going to need to get oxygen into this, so we need another quantum entangleport. Good thing I made a bunch of those ahead of time. We're going to grab a quantum entangleport. We'll put that on the back and clear it out. Bam. And we're going to call this oxygen. And you will output your gas to the back. And then you will allow gas input from here. So now we have oxygen. So the only other thing we need to do is get our substrate in here. So one more quantum entangleport should do us for this setup. Clear it. Configure it. Substrate. Items. Output. Auto eject. And items input. Bam. Not enough energy. Helps if I give it power. Throw on an ender gate or two, and bada bing, bada boom, we have HDPE being generated. Give it some energy upgrades, give it some speed upgrades, and we are good to go. So we have HDPE. Now, HDPE pellets are used to make HDPE rods, which are used in a pigment mixer, and then plastic, which is used for absolutely nothing that I need. So I don't care about HDPE pellets. I care about enriching those into HDPE sheets. So last setup here that we're going to need to do is grab an enrichment chamber, throw it right next door, clear its configs. I wish everything in Mechanism came pre-config cleared, but that's okay. We are going to auto eject to the top. And then I'll grab an ender chest. And throw it on top so we can have everything come into an ender chest. And we'll just go ahead and pre-upgrade it since I'm literally standing here. And so all we have to do now is go ahead and tell this to eject items to the right, auto eject, and they should now get HDPE'd after I give it some power and be good to go. And yes, I know, currently we're going to be bottlenecked here, but it should theoretically clear up once it processes all of this. No, it actually honestly looks like we're able to keep up with this. So let's grab a basic installer, maybe just doing this because it'll 3x the speeds of the enrichment chamber, and we can auto sort. And now it'll be able to operate faster and not have to get bottlenecked. Okay, I like it. We have HDPE done. So we had a pretty productive episode. We ended up getting 2 things done. Wow, look at the Andrata being efficient. I ended up getting 2 projects done in 1 episode. I'm a speed machine. So we have HDPE pellets or sheets being produced. We have power being produced in our induction matrix. I think we're doing pretty darn good. And again, we're sitting at 14 billion RF, and we haven't even, you can't even see, there's no line even telling us how much power we have in here, which is ridiculously crazy. 819,000 RF we are generating. Yeah, and I like it. It's great. So with those HDPE sheets, we are now able to, wow, there is some lag going on. We are now able to make ourselves the nice fancy solar neutron activator. I don't know what all that was. Solar neutron activator. The solar neutron activator is going to be used to make us polonium, and polonium is going to be used in like the SPS casing and everything like that. So you know what? Let's get 3 things done this episode because this should be pretty simple, though granted it is, you know, nighttime, so it's not really going to be helpful. So our what is this? Our nuclear waste is going to come out of here, and it's going to basically split between both of these machines. But as long as it is daytime, our solar neutron activator is going to create polonium. And then that polonium can be used to create polonium pellets, which is what we would want to make. We are going to need to get another PRC with water and that polonium, along with what kind of dust? Fluorite dust, which is exactly the same thing that we have going on over here. So it should be pretty easy to do. We would just grab water, just like we did before, pump it in from the bottom. This can output over to here, and bada bing, bada boom, we will get dust going on, or polonium pellets. So anyway, yeah, that's it for today's episode. I'll get that process set up in between episodes, so that way we don't have to worry about it, and then we'll have polonium pellets for us starting out next episode, so that way we can do polonium pellety things, which is, I know it's used for one of the all the mods things, isn't it? Maybe? Radioactive chemical storage? Can this store radioactive waste? Can I just have that go into my system? That's interesting. Well, we can build the mech suit if we really wanted to. Why was I getting HDPE, though? And polonium pellets. What did I want this for? Supercharged coil, for sure. No, this is for the... Oh, yeah, it is for the SPS. Okay, yeah, we need because we need this for the SPS in order to craft antimatter, which is part of all the mod star. Okay, anyway, if you enjoyed, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe. I do appreciate it. It really does help out the channel. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for watching. We will see you in the next one. Have a good one.